I use generative AI every day in my workflows. Typically, it is to sell in a concept and alleviate the amount of time that it takes to get to an established look and feel in order to sell in an idea.
We decided to build Firefly Boards because we thought the world needed a better tool for creatives to explore this new world of generative AI.
Gen AI is a big part of my creative process lately. It helps me give life to half-baked ideas and maybe see if they work, or if they don't work, what doesn't work about them. I like to gather a lot of different types of influences and inspiration and sort of start playing with the chaos until it congeals into like a cohesive brand.
Branding to me is a very messy process. I think it's one that takes place like mostly in the real world. One thing I love about my job is that it kind of never shuts off. It's like on the subway, walking on the street, people watching, like all of those things really inform kind of whatever the next problem that's going to come to you is.
Like my branding process is not very linear and it's very crazy sometimes. So I'm definitely in the unorthodox camp. Sometimes I start liking do motion first because my mind thinks in terms of moving images, and from there something interesting comes out. My process has often scared people because they're like, wait, it looks all crazy, we don't understand what's happening, but by the end of it, it makes sense.
As a fashion designer, my brand is really about taking these traditional menswear silhouettes and incorporating unconventional fabric into it. So, for example, like my latest piece was men's basketball shorts, but with paisley lace fabric. And so I think Adobe Firefly Boards is literally the perfect platform for me to go and bring new fabrication ideas into my clothing. One of the features that I really love is the eyedrop tool, where you can pick like a certain style from one photo and a certain composition from another. And we started designing Porsche model cars, but with different textures. So like a Porsche that looks like a tennis ball, like the texture is made out of tennis ball, or a Persian rug, or snow, or moss.
You can grab an image and specify what I want from this image is the composition only, and then what I want from this image is the lighting.
And we had an example where we took a fake testimonial of a woman who took a scorpion, an aura of her ex-boyfriend, and 3 broken teacups to then inform her new shape of a vase that she wanted to produce. All hypothetical, of course, but the idea of merging 3 very distinct ideas, whether it's texture, pattern, form, to create something that you've never seen before.
I love the fact that I can sample this, sample that. I want it to look like this, and then it starts to remix together and then create something very new without me trying to type too much. So it's it's a pure visual world where I really thrive, and to me that blew me away.
Firefly Boards kind of blew my mind this weekend in a couple of ways. I think one was watching our designer Armand start to pull together like completely separate references. We started with this idea of like a nautilus shell and a golden ratio, and then we were actually able to like carve that into marble, all using this remix tool inside of it. So it was pretty incredible to like have it try to take leaps where we wouldn't even begin to find a reference to do so, and being able to then actually like do that myself was really sick.
I think what's been a bit more remarkable in my experience sitting with Adobe, hearing where they're coming from, what they're trying to do with the product, isn't just to give you a tool and an environment to work in, it's actually changing the way that we approach or work with AI and generative AI.
There's a lot of tools out there where you type in a prompt, it's like a slot machine. You type in a prompt, you get a result. We wanted to build a tool that would be more directable, be more controllable, be more tactile. So it felt like you were working with AI the way you might work with another creative.
Gen AI has been really great for me, especially with this tool, because things, even though they form very creatively in my head, can really get stuck up there, and it can oftentimes be like very hard to give references or guide people through kind of like what I'm seeing. So for me, a tool like this is really great because I can actually start to communicate those things and like put stuff together that people can like come along in the process with me, and that's really nice.
There were times when I was using boards and trying to find a connection between 2 different styles or 2 different images, and it made connections that I thought were often surprising, but in a lot of ways like what I didn't even know I needed.
This is really the first time we have a technology that like speaks your language, and I mean that both in terms of natural language like speech, but also in terms of your artistic language, your visual language, right? And so we can finally ground in human experience very powerful technologies.
It felt very collaborative because I would be creating an AI-generated image, and then my team members is creating next to it another one, or takes the one I generated and adds to it. We just had one space, we're all working on it. It was such a seamless process.
The fact that products we build are collaborative allows us to, not only work together to achieve, more interesting and quite frankly, beautiful outcomes, but also allows folks to learn very naturally from each other on the same teams. Really, the best teacher you could possibly have is, your collaborators on your team.
Where strong perspective, unique styles, and evolving ideas meet.
Using Firefly Boards with a team was incredible. We were able to collaborate and align on a direction so much faster. It was almost better to see the things that we didn't want and get rid of them so we could focus on the things that we did want. We were able to get a look together that I immediately said no to. Whereas that would have been a day. But instead, my designer was able to mock something up, turn his computer towards me and say, "What about this?" And I was like, no.
One of the most joyful things about this product is that it really lowers the cost of experimentation. So you can try whatever idea you think of, and it's fast. It's easy to sort of generate what you're thinking about, and then just see what the results look like. You can keep it or you can toss it, but it's there for you.
I can say that with this new AI tool, I can spend more time really fleshing out the idea and not worrying too much about how it's gonna get made. Things are gonna look really great and solid, so I can really spend my time thinking about what I want to say, which is what AI cannot help me at the moment.
Generative AI tools like this one are going to be great for the creative industry. They're going to make people think about things beyond just the first association that comes to mind when they're trying to iterate on an idea. They're also going to push people to think about what the human element is and what their perspective as a person is bringing to the equation, when intelligence writ large is just going to be so accessible, and you're going to have to really push ideas to show that this is something that tech couldn't have done on its own.
In future, I think it's going to diversify the output that creative teams make, just because you can remix and remaster everything.
I think often it's really difficult for clients to visualize things in the fidelity that we can as creative people. And so being able to render your ideas in high fidelity helps you just to have better conversations with your client and get more at the reasoning behind a certain direction or the reasoning behind a strategy, the actual good part of the design work.
At least for me, it helped broke some rigidity that design can have. As there can be a very set idea of what looks good, what is considered well, and it's very deterministic. But using AI tools and Gen AI tools, it brings an element of non-determinism to it. So you're constantly surprised by the outputs. You cannot always creatively control the outputs, which is the good thing, because you got to let go of control sometimes and allow it to take you somewhere. And I think that's a good shake-up that the industry or even the practice has gotten.
There is a beautiful, chaotic moment where people from different backgrounds and skill sets have different ideas, but ultimately what makes work stronger is when we're challenging each other, asking questions, and making refinements. And I feel like Adobe Firefly Boards is a space of infinite possibilities, infinite canvas, where there is that magic moment of these workflows colliding to an ultimate product or vision that can be produced. The beauty in the chaos, right? There's something about design that is beautifully chaotic.